Are phones helping students focus, or just making it harder to learn? Welcome to Learning Lab, where we explore real questions about how students learn best. One debate that keeps coming up in schools is, should phones be banned from classrooms? To dig into this topic objectively, we created a debate using two AI-generated personas. Mrs. Larson, a high school teacher with over 20 years of experience who believes phones hurt learning. Mrs. Ferguson, a parent advocate who sees phones as essential for communication, focus, and student support. Each presents their case using real-world studies and years of insight. Watch the debate, then decide for yourself. Who made the stronger argument?
Hi, I'm Mrs. Larson. I've been a high school teacher for over 20 years, and let me tell you, something changed when smartphones entered the classroom. Students who once debated themes in To Kill a Mockingbird now scroll through TikTok mid-discussion. And no, they're not researching Harper Lee. It's not just anecdotal. Studies from the London School of Economics show that test scores actually improved in schools that banned phones. I've watched attention spans shrink and anxiety spike, and honestly, it's like trying to teach in a carnival. Phones are not just a distraction. They're a barrier to focus, depth, and real learning. And here's the kicker. When only some teachers ban phones, we look like the villains. Kids get mixed messages. Why can I use my phone in history but not in English? It's like telling them sugar is bad, but letting them eat candy in 3 out of 6 classes. If we want consistency, we need a school-wide, or better, statewide policy. Otherwise, we're just playing whack-a-phone every period.
Oh, Mrs. Larson, I hear you. Really, I do. But banning phones completely? That's a Band-Aid on a broken system. I'm Mrs. Ferguson. I represent a group of very real, very tired parents who need to reach their kids. Ever tried coordinating a last-minute pickup during a rainy day schedule without a phone? Or calming a panic attack in a student with anxiety who just wants their music to focus? Phones are tools. Like any tool, they can be misused, but they also solve problems. In fact, a 2022 Pew Research Center study found that 67% of parents believe phones help kids feel safer at school. And yes, especially for students in special education, phones help regulate emotions, provide structure, and even support executive function. So before we swing the hammer and ban all phones, maybe we should look at how we use them. The answer isn't prohibition, it's teaching responsibility. Or do we stop letting teens drive because some speed?
You're right, Mrs. Ferguson. Phones can be tools. But in my classroom, they're more like Swiss Army distractions. That Pew stat sounds comforting, but let's not confuse feeling safer with being safer. During emergencies, phones cause chaos. In lockdown drills, students are texting rumors instead of listening to instructions. The National Association of School Resource Officers has literally advised against student phone use during crises for that exact reason. And about music? Look, I've tried letting kids use phones for focus, and it ends with half the class on YouTube and the other half pretending to meditate while watching memes. Kids aren't magically more focused because they have earbuds in. If anything, they're more checked out. You wouldn't give a chainsaw to a toddler and say, well, it's just a tool if they use it right. Same logic. Phones aren't evil, but without clear boundaries, they're poison to deep thinking. And my classroom isn't a tech buffet.
Okay, comparing phones to chainsaws is dramatic, even for a veteran English teacher. Look, I agree kids need boundaries, but let's not pretend banning phones will suddenly turn teens into Zen scholars. If distraction is the problem, let's talk about engagement, not control. You can ban phones and still lose a kid's attention if the lesson doesn't connect. Also, the idea that phones are chaos during emergencies, that's not the phones. It's lack of preparation. Instead of banning them, teach kids how and when to use them responsibly. Schools teach fire drills, teach phone drills, and let's stop assuming every kid is just one click away from a meme spiral. Some use mindfulness apps, calendars, even speech-to-text for writing assignments. For SPED students, those features aren't luxuries, they're lifelines. Take away the phone, and for some, you're taking away their coping strategy. You say phones are poison, I say the dose makes the poison.
Fair point on the chainsaw. That might have been a bit much. But hey, I've seen what happens when students just check one thing on their phones. Spoiler alert, they're still checking 10 minutes later. Mrs. Ferguson, I agree that we need engagement, and I work hard to make lessons relevant. But no lesson, not even a TikTok dance breakdown of the Pythagorean theorem, can compete with a dopamine-loaded device designed literally to hijack attention. This isn't a willpower issue, it's neuroscience. Studies from Common Sense Media show teens check their phones an average of 100 times a day. That's not multitasking. That's fragmentation. You mentioned tools like calendars and speech-to-text. Great. Let's provide those tools through school devices with boundaries and filters. We wouldn't hand out unmonitored laptops with Reddit access and call it support. Phones are personal, unregulated, and addictive. If we want students to learn how to focus, think critically, and be present, we have to help them by taking temptation off the table.
Okay, Mrs. Larson, you're quoting Common Sense Media. I respect that. But let's zoom out. Yes, phones are designed to be addictive. So is fast food. Are we banning vending machines next? Or are we teaching moderation? Education isn't about removing temptation, it's about preparing students for the real world with it. You want school-issued tools? Fine. But let's not pretend school Chromebooks are cutting-edge supports. Some districts block half the internet, including resources kids actually need. Meanwhile, their own phones have the apps that work for them. You can't personalize with a lockdown device from 2016. And I've got a study too. The University of Illinois found that students who use music apps like Calm or Lo-Fi Beats had increased task completion and reduced anxiety. That's especially true for SPED students. One size doesn't fit all. Let's empower teachers to set classroom norms, not push a one-size-fits-all ban that treats all students like misbehaving toddlers.
Mrs. Ferguson, I hear the equity argument. I really do. But equity doesn't mean unlimited access to personal tech. It means structure with support. Let's not forget, for every kid using Calm, 5 are snapping selfies or live streaming lunch. I'm not saying all students are misbehaving toddlers, but teenagers are developing brains. We don't let them vote, rent cars, or get tattoos without permission for a reason. Expecting them to self-regulate a device designed by behavioral scientists is frankly unfair to them. And let's talk teacher workload. I'm managing 30 students, a lesson, IEPs, 504s, and now phone enforcement policies I invented on my own because the school has no backbone. We're being asked to teach and run a digital detox center with zero institutional support. You want real prep for the real world? Start by teaching them how to be fully present. That skill is disappearing, and believe me, no app's bringing it back.
Mrs. Larson, I'm not saying teachers should be the phone police. Believe me, I get it. But you know what else adds to your workload? Kids having panic attacks because they can't listen to the music that calms them, or not being able to text a parent when something's wrong. Let's talk reality. Phones aren't just a teen problem. They're a society problem. Adults check their phones constantly, during meetings, dinner, church, and we expect kids to be better than grown-ups? Come on. Also about the whole presence argument. Presence doesn't mean sitting in a desk for 55 minutes staring at the whiteboard. Some kids are more present when they have access to their supports. That might be music, a timer app, or texting a parent for reassurance. Let's not punish the many because some scroll TikTok. Give teachers support? Yes, but don't do it by punishing kids who are already doing their best to cope in a system that rarely adapts to them.
You're not wrong, Mrs. Ferguson. Adults are glued to their phones too. That's why it's even more critical to teach teens boundaries now. If we don't help them build those habits in high school, they'll enter the adult world just as addicted, but with no practice in restraint. And while we're talking fairness, what about the students not glued to their phones? The ones trying to learn while the guy next to them is watching YouTube on 10% brightness like it's stealth mode? It's distracting, it's unfair, and it creates a divided classroom, kids who are focused and kids who are elsewhere. Let's not confuse accommodation with avoidance. If a student needs music to stay regulated, there are ways to support that through structured, documented accommodations, not free-for-all phone use. We've got to stop pretending this is about tech literacy or emotional safety alone. Sometimes saying no is what creates safety. Boundaries aren't punishment, they're preparation.
Boundaries are important, Mrs. Larson, but bans aren't boundaries. They're blockades. You say phones are unfair to the focused kids? I'd argue it's unfair to treat every student like a potential rule breaker because a few abuse it. That's like banning pencils because one kid poked another in third period. We don't throw out the whole system. We teach better habits. And let's get real. Most students do need digital literacy. Instead of banning phones, use them. Teach students how to manage screen time, avoid scams, vet online sources. That's the kind of focus they'll actually need in life, not just the ability to stare at a worksheet without checking a notification. Plus, blanket bans often backfire. Ever heard of the phone under the desk trick? Yeah, students don't magically stop using phones, they just get sneakier. You think that's less distracting? It's 2025. We should be evolving, not pretending it's still 1995. Let's meet students where they are and then teach them how to rise.
Mrs. Ferguson, I respect your passion, but let's not confuse freedom with growth. School is one of the last places where we can slow things down, teach focus, and help kids learn without the constant ping of dopamine hits. I'm not against tech. I'm against unchecked access to something we know undermines concentration. The University of Chicago found that even having a phone visible but not in use lowers cognitive capacity. Just seeing it is enough to make the brain work harder. Multiply that by 30 kids per class, 6 periods a day. What are we really expecting them to retain? We owe it to our students to help them develop attention, patience, and real-world thinking. That starts with removing the thing that's hijacking all three. Phones don't belong in high school classrooms, not as entertainment, not as lifelines, not as pocket-sized chaos machines. Let's give kids a shot at learning deeply before their brains forget how.
Mrs. Larson, I appreciate your decades of dedication, but let's not romanticize the past. Deep learning doesn't come from yanking phones away. It comes from relevance, relationships, and trust. We're not raising robots. We're raising real kids in a real world where phones are part of daily life. Let's teach them how to use that power responsibly, not pretend we can ban it away. And let's stop assuming structure means strict control. It can also mean choice, voice, and yes, flexibility. For many students, especially those with learning differences, phones are not distractions, they're accommodations. And for parents, they're peace of mind. You call phones pocket-sized chaos machines. I call them pocket-sized lifelines. Lifelines to self-regulation, to safety, to home. If we truly want to prepare students for the future, we need to teach them how to navigate the world with technology, not shield them from it. Ban the phones? No. Let's ban the fear and start building trust.
Thanks for watching this episode of Learning Lab. Now it's your turn. Who do you think made the strongest argument? Was it the teacher or the parent advocate? Let us know in the comments. We've included links to all the studies mentioned in the video description so you can explore them yourself. And if you want more debates, learning experiments, or tools for students and educators, subscribe to Learning Lab and join us on this journey to explore how learning really works. See you in the next video.